Look, I'm not advocating for you to hit little kids. The thumbnail was a little clickbait. But what I actually mean is that if you want to get people to listen to you, you need to be serious. This is leadership 101. If you want to get people to follow your orders and you want to be a leader, you can't just be goofy. And I actually learned this the other day when I was at a 2-day base camp. And this was extremely fun. I was with a friend. We were all so confident. We were speaking to everyone there. But the living conditions were a little bad. But it was good considering we were in the middle of nowhere, just with 5 cabins between us. Here's the thing though. The people in our cabin were loud and they were dirty. Bro, they were dirty. They would leave their bags hanging around. They would litter in the cabin. They smelled because they weren't showering. It was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I learned this through my friend who I went with. In the cabin when we were all heading to sleep. And honestly, I figured, if I keep trying to speak to these people, or if I keep kind of putting attention into the noises they are making and whatever, it's just going to end up making me stay awake. So I decided my method to get to sleep quickly is just going to be to ignore them. People back in the tribal days, when they were living in these tribes, or there was probably tons of noise and they could sleep just fine, so I can sleep fine. And that was the mindset I went into it with, and I managed to fall asleep eventually. But they were still loud, they were still annoying. And whilst I was trying to fall asleep, I overheard my friend speaking, he's Anton, and he was saying, he was very serious and stern when he said this. He was telling them to quiet down, and it's extremely disrespectful that they are being so loud. It's late now, people are trying to sleep. And I just thought, wow, that's interesting, that's interesting. And it actually got them to be more quiet and they were more silent. It actually worked. So this guy just seized leadership of the other people in the cabin we were in. There was no conflict, there was no fights. He just said, stop it. After that, we were talking a little bit. And as we were talking, he was telling me about his time in cadets. It's kind of like this military, but for kids. I guess, kind of. And he was telling me that whilst he was in cadets, there was this one sergeant. He was called Sergeant Smith. And this guy, he was the most respected but also most liked sergeant ever. He was like the perfect general, or not, the perfect leader. He was commanding the people to do things correctly. He was still quite strict and everyone would listen to him. But also, he would be able to kind of chill out and relax, and he'd be able to carry a conversation when it counted. And I just thought, that is actually an important thing. And we were talking about it, but he was telling me that he wanted to take that from him, got inspired, and he thought, you know what, this guy is good at leadership. And I've noticed that he always is able to just switch on and off. He's able to be goofy and happy and laugh and everything, but he's also able to be serious and stern. And that's what Anton took. And I decided, you know what? That is so true. That is so true, Anton. Because, look, everyone is able to be serious and be goofy, but most people aren't able to switch. Most people are either goofy all the time and they never take themselves seriously. They'll always laugh and pretend everything is a joke, and something bad will happen. And they'll still pretend it's a joke when it's not. Something actually bad will happen. Someone will actively disrespect you, and you'll just be laughing as if it's not serious. When it is. In reality, it really is serious. It's not a joking matter. But then there are other people who are all serious and they take themselves too seriously. I'm the macho man. And it's not fun to speak to those people because they're just all depressed, bro. They're all miserable and they don't know how to take a joke and have fun in life. And those are the types of people who are like Karens. You know those Karens who go into stores and they always take themselves seriously and they're always so mad and they're just quick to be triggered. That's like those guys. So you need to be able to have this fine, not even a fine mix, you just need to be able to switch. Be goofy, have fun, don't take yourself too seriously most of the time. Right? Have fun, laugh, whatever. But when something calls for it and when something actually needs to be addressed, don't stay in this goofy mode because it's not goofy times. Become more serious. Stop actually speaking in a firm way. That doesn't mean you need to shout or get mad or anything, but just talk in a very direct, very even kind of emotionless manner. Like, for example, if somebody does something rude, don't be like, ha, 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 it doesn't matter, whatever. No, it does matter. But you don't need to be like, how dare you do this to me? I can't believe you insulted me that way. You damn cretin. You don't need to be like that either. Be at this firm but also respective side. Like, you show respect. You can just say very directly, that was extremely disrespectful, don't do that again. And there's a much, much higher chance people will listen to you when you are serious like that, when you are able to show your boundaries. And people respect you more as well when you're able to show your boundaries. When you're firm, people respect you more. And it may seem like the opposite. It may seem like, oh, but if I take myself seriously and if I'm strict, people will like me less. I promise you that's not the case. When you are strict, people see, oh, this guy isn't just going to take all of this BS. Okay, I guess I should be a bit more diligent about how I treat him. And even if it were even if it were the case, I promise you, you do not want to be surrounded by people who disrespect you because you don't take yourself seriously whatsoever. It is better to be all alone than to have friends who are actually insulting you and attacking you. So regardless of if it's true or not, the fact still remains you need to be able to turn on your serious switch, but also turn it off. Don't just keep it on all the time. Just, be serious fluid, right? You have gender fluid, be serious fluid, be able to switch between them. But of course, this doesn't really matter if I don't actually apply it. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to try and do this. Anton, this Sergeant Smith guy, you're right about him. I'm going to try and do it. That is quite an interesting thing. I know it's right. I just have never really tried it. So I started doing it whenever I wanted to kind of issue orders. Right, issue orders, right? Let's call it that. And whenever I was telling somebody to do something, and I didn't want, like, it wasn't some sort of joke, like, please don't do that, whatever. No, just don't do this. It's very, very annoying. I'd actually just change my tone, change my face, and I just say it in a very direct, respectful manner. And it actually worked. It actually worked to the point where I didn't have any problems with the living conditions anymore. Because rather than being like, oh, please don't do this, whatever, please. No, I was just like, when you come into the room later, don't be loud. Very directly. Because me and my friend were going to sleep earlier. They were all going to sleep late. Little kids, basically. And I was just like, when you come back into the cabin, don't make noise. And it actually worked. I mean, probably I didn't wake up, so it probably did work, didn't it? Anyways, if you want to become more confident and you want to be able to socialize better, along with learn leadership and all of these very important skills that no one touches on for some reason, check out the top link in the description. It's the Social Protocol. It's like this program that has courses in it that teaches you about social skills. But there's also a community of people inside who are also on this path. and you can get calls with me and talk to me personally. I'll see you in there, and bye-bye.